Hey, welcome back to episode number 158 of the Ask Sri Vishwanath show. It's a beautiful afternoon and I hope you're having a great time. And today is part 5 of why bad things happen to good people and how to get out of it. What do the great ones say?
You ask questions and I answer them. This is the Ask Sri Vishwanath show.
Alright, so highly encourage you to watch the last 4 episodes. So we are on 158, so it's like 154, 155, 156, 157. Yeah, so got it right this time. And so, we've gone there step by step and just a quick recap. We saw in the first part that everything happens for a reason. We saw this beautiful story of the king and the minister, and this was really very wonderful. Then we saw in the second story the story of pigeon and the eagle, where the pigeon out of fear asks for help, and then the eagle takes it to a place where it then gets destroyed. And we saw that during bad times, never ask never get carried away by that fear of anxiety, that all these doubts and all these things, because it makes you take action or ask something for help or makes you do something which leads to your own destruction. So we saw that what the great ones do is, you should ask your consciousness for, as you got to go back to the consciousness and be centered, and then take action, because as they say, first go to God and then to man or women as directed by God. So first go to the God within, go to the consciousness within, and then to the man or woman or whoever it is, directed by the God. That's very, very important. And so we also saw the reasons, the 4 reasons why bad things happen to good people. One is lack of faith in the consciousness. People have no faith, and this faith is something which that's the reality. We don't trust the circle. We are in a reaction mode, and we react based on the events. It's very, very important to understand that there is this point, the center within us, which is like complete and which is full of love, energy, abundance at all times. And all that these bad times are doing is it's driving us back here. But we are going here with a lot of pain and all this stuff, and we are not really able to appreciate the beauty of this. But all that's doing is driving us back here, because all the doors are closed, so we come back here, and instead most of us are filled with anger, pain and all that stuff, and but all it's doing is driving us back here. So once you're back here, we got to know that this anger, pain and all these things are unreal. This is real stuff, and you just got to observe it as much as possible, just like anything else. Until the time that we can't get this thing clear, you should not take any action during bad time, because it will be against you. So very, very important, just because there's not much to observe. It's just this is unreal and this is real. Very important. Then second is, just got to drop the expectation from the world. I think we are expecting too much from the world. This person should treat us like this, this is how it should happen, that should happen, this should happen. And all that is fine, because maybe we are paying lots of money. I understand that, you get angry, but that's how it is. Some places are horrible, some people are horrible, and you can't do anything. And it's, so by lowering the expectation from the external world and by increasing the expectation from us, we can do it. Then we saw gratitude for the things which we had. Already, when we get into bad times, we just forget the gratitude for the things which you already have. Whatever we have. So that's very important. And I suggested, a few exercises. And it's very important during bad times to just be aware, why am I getting angry? Instead of saying I'm getting angry because, I'm frustrated because I'm feeling, you say, why am I getting angry? The moment you say that, you can feel the anger as a force, and we'll touch upon this in very detail this time, because I want to give you a very good exercise at the end of this video. It's a statement. Why am I feeling frustrated? Why am I feeling this pain? You see, the moment you ask that, you will notice that this pain is actually rising from inside you. Otherwise, it will look as something coming from outside. So, we saw all that stuff, and then we saw that you got to pick your battles. The tamas thought during bad times will come and say, I want to teach him a lesson, I'm feeling frustrated. The sattvic thought should be, what am I good at? You see, everyone is good at something. Our job is to keep on doing what we are good at. And that's the thing, because that will, just ensure that this tamas thing goes away, because this is completely unreal. Then we saw in the story of Tulsidas, how from the height, from the lowness of lust to the hallmarks of divinity he sprang, and that was a wonderful story. And yesterday we saw a wonderful, my personal story of how I did not know how to cook food, right? And then, I burned the food, I did not know how to cook the okra food, that was how I got started. And, mother gave me the recipe, everything was there, but I, screwed it up by putting the gas on high and going to take bath. And when I came from the bath, it was all roasted. That's because no matter how much people told me, I could not understand that you got to keep it at low. So you got to understand that during bad times, the tamas, the anger, frustration, pain, and the gas is just on a high. All I had got to do during that episode, last episode if you watched, was to put the fire on low and the food would have cooked well. But I did not do that 5-second thing. All I was saying to myself was, I need to have a good food. I need to have fast food. I'm getting late to the work. I need to take a bath. I need fast food. Where is it? Master is there. All I got to do was, it would have taken me 2 seconds to put the fire on low. And if I had done that and then gone to take a bath, and then everything would have been wonderful. Just 2 seconds. It takes only 2 seconds for you to understand that this tamas thought, anger, frustration, sadness, all these things brewing up, all you got to do is put the, flame low. Just keep it low, let it be there. Don't get carried away by that and take action. Always be centered, go back to the show. Let the world do whatever. Let the world see all that the world is doing, all that the bad time is doing. It's forcing you to come out and act based on tamas guna. And you don't do that, because you have complete control. Let the tamas guna come up because it's unreal. You say, I'm not going to take action. I'm going to go back to the show. That is my action. That is, I'm going to put this fire on low and it will be very well. So we saw all that stuff. And I'm going to share with you another wonderful story. Because what we're doing is stories do a lot of good stuff. So any one of these stories, you've got to catch it like a bulldog and then, use whatever works for you. So that's why the stories are just it processes things differently in our being, and it makes us, get that. So here's the story of Kalidasa. Now Kalidasa is a world famous poet, a dramatist, and he was a fool earlier, okay? He was a fool who got transformed into a world famous poet, dramatist. And Kalidasa is actually called the Shakespeare of India. And he was born actually, 1,000 years before Shakespeare. And Vivekananda actually says that Shakespeare should be called the Kalidasa of Europe. Okay, why? Because he says, Kalidasa's most famous work is Shakuntala, and it's world famous. It's so powerful. Just because he's come from India and he never bothered about all this work. It's just lying there. But he says that Shakespeare should be called Kalidasa of Europe. And obviously, most of people will disagree, but that's a thing for different. Now that's what Vivekananda said. That's not what I'm saying. And Vivekananda, for those who know him, was very transparent and was very well read, and he read all of Shakespeare, all of Kalidasa, all religions. So here's how the story goes. So, Kalidasa was a dumb a fool who became this great poet, and here's how the story goes. And so there was this a wonderful kingdom, and the king had a beautiful daughter. And this daughter was very, very wise. She had tremendous spiritual knowledge, and she told her father that I will marry only that person who will, defeat me in a spiritual debate. So his father, the king, used to call a lot of very top spiritual guys, and his daughter would just defeat them easily. And the bad thing with the daughter did was, after defeating them, she would humiliate them in public. so badly that they would feel so bad. Just she had the tamas gun, she had this great sattvic gun given by the goddess of Saraswati learning, but she had this bad thing that after defeating, she would then humiliate them in the whole assembly. And so all those who lost would feel very bad. And then one day what they did is everyone who lost the spiritual debate with her, they came together and said, we got to teach this girl a lesson. And they said, what do we do? And so they decided that they would marry her off to a complete idiot, so that then she would be, for the rest of her life, would suffer. And so they said, okay, let's catch hold of an idiot which we can, present before her and who can defeat her in a debate, And so they traveled and traveled, and then they came across a tree. And here they saw Kalidasa, who was sitting, was in the branch of a tree, and he was, sawing the branch. But he was on the wrong side of the branch and sawing it. And so very soon he just fell down, and all of these people saw that and said, okay, there cannot be a greater nut than this guy Kalidasa. And so they caught hold of him and told him this plan, and Kalidasa was very afraid. But they told him, well, you don't have to speak. You just keep quiet and say you are a very great wise person, and you show only actions. And they gave him some instructions, but he didn't know what he said. They said, just come, just be silent, and things will happen. And so he said, fine. And they went to the kingdom, and he was presented as a very, very wise person who does not speak, but who does everything through actions. And so the debate began. And so the woman, the girl, the daughter of the king, she said, through instructions, she said to science, one, meaning God is one. And Kalidasa was a total nut, dumb ass, as they say, jackass. And so he, said, well, if she's showing one, he told two, okay? And he didn't mean anything. He just said, because she said one, she said one representing God was one, but he said two, just numeric two. But what she interpreted was, so he's saying there's God with form and God without form, unmanifest and manifest. So she got very impressed by Kalidasa. And so she then, showed her hand and opened the palm and said, showed like this, which meant there is this five elements, earth, air, fire, space, water, which is in every manifested thing in the world. And Kalidasa thought that she was like, she raised her hand to slap him. And Kalidasa got very angry, and Kalidasa showed her fist towards her, okay, in like anger, And what she meant, what she interpreted was, so what he is saying is, all these five elements actually spring from this unmanifest. And so all this is manifestation, this is manifest. And what happened to her? Something happened to her, and she just fell down at his feet, as if he's a great person and she's defeated, and he's the greatest wise being. And she fell at his feet, and Kalidasa was, obviously did not know what to do, and they got married. And the first night itself, Kalidasa's, Kalidasa's foolishness was revealed, because he just didn't know anything. And the king's king's daughter was so unhappy. She said, all along my life I prayed to Goddess Saraswati. The Goddess Saraswati is the goddess of learning. And she said, how would I live with this dumb jackass for the rest of my life? And she fired Kalidasa like hell. She almost humiliated him that night completely, and Kalidasa just left the room just wanting to die. And so he traveled and traveled and traveled, and then in morning happened, and in the morning, as he was traveling by the banks of the river, he saw that these, washer, there's women, they used to, in India, they wash the clothes in the banks of the river by pounding it against the stone. Okay, so he saw that these women were pounding the dresses against the stones, and the stones, when they were pounding it, they were smooth and rounded. He saw that. While there were other stones which are not being pounded, and they were like rough and ragged. So he saw, and this is very important, he saw it very intently, that the stones where the women were pounding the clothes were smooth and rounded, while the other stones where the women were not pounding were rough and ragged. And like a light bulb came onto him, that if these stones which are so hard could become smooth and rounded by this pounding of the clothes, for whatever months or years, then why can't he, who was like a jackass, can become smooth and rounded and wonderful by a wonderful wave of knowledge? He said that is possible. The stones which are so rough and tough could become smooth and rounded by this hammering of the, clothes. Then he said, I too, my, dumb nature can go away by continuous impressions of goodness. And so that light bulb just, came onto him, that the temple in the vicinity rang. It was the goddess Kali temple. And he just went inside, prostrated. It was early morning, no one was there. And, it is said, and this is a true story, that goddess Kali herself, as he was, what happened, nobody knows, but, this is a story he said, that goddess Kali herself came and she told him to, bring his tongue out, and goddess Kali wrote, this word Om in his tongue. And from that day on, that person became Kalidasa. Kalidasa meaning who was blessed by goddess Kali, and he started writing poetry after poetry, this play of Shakuntala. He became world famous poet in India and worldwide. No one is in comparison to him. But this was a total jackass who, by the grace of goddess Kali, became this thing just by the light bulb of that moment. And what is important to notice, so what was the tipping point? You see, the tipping point was he saw that, the women pounding the stones, that if the stones were just so hard, could become smooth and rounded by pounding. But what really made him go there is the insult which he had from his marriage. The princess insulted him that day so much that he wanted to die, and he took him to the bank of the river where he had this vision of the stones being pounded. And what that happened is, from that state of stupidity, that awareness, the sattvic guna, came up. You see, so what the great ones said is that state of stupidity which Kalidasa was carrying was not real. It was only an appearance, because he only appeared like a fool, but he was not a fool. This is very important. So during bad times, we only appear to be very sad, frustrated, dejected. It's not true, because just like he had that moment of awareness, we should know that we all have this wonderful sweetness within us. Because he was, Kalidasa was not a fool, because if he was a fool, the goddess Kali would not have graced him. We all have that wonderful spirit. It's just that that insult drove him to the bank of the river. He saw that scene, and that reminded him of all his sattvic gunas earlier, and drove him back to the consciousness, and he just picked it up. So it's very, very important that during bad times, we all have the sattvic, rajasic and tamasic. All we got to do is to know that during the bad times, the tamas is on the top, on the surface, and so whatever is on the surface you saw earlier, we think it to be real. So whatever is at the surface right now in you, whatever feelings, you take that to be real and take that to be what you are. But the wise ones know that this is just an appearance, and so they just know that if we can call up the sattvic, you see, sattvic is also there, this wonderful consciousness. If you go back to the shore, you can bring in the sattvic to the top. That's why great ones say, don't take action based on the tamas. If Kalidasa had gone by the insult, and he would have just said, okay, this is all, he would have died. But somehow he saw that scene of the women, pounding that. And that brought him, which was nothing but going back to the shore, in his case, the light bulb kid, his sattvic guna come to get to the top, and everything changed. So that awareness is very important during bad times. And that's what bad times give you, that opportunity. And that's all you got to do. Because all the tamas is doing is just blocking you out. Very, very important. You see, we all have the sweetness of the mango, right? See, in India, the mango fruit, it's, I think, in April or May, it's the only time when it gets ripened. And it's so sweet. But they say any part of the mango tree, the whole tree, the trunk or whatever, it's all bitter. But how is the mango sweet? There's something in it, right? And why is it sweet only in April and May? Because that's the only time when it is ripened. Because it's working on its sweetness for the 10 months. So we've got to work on those sweetness both during good times and bad times. We should all know that we have the sweetness of mango inside. And everyone has that. And the bad time only exposes our bitterness. And all what we got to do is go back to the mango tree. And know that we have the sweetness. And that's what. So what do great ones do? Wherever they go, they add their sweetness. Which, I told you in the last episode, we got to be that beautiful cook. That wherever we go, we got to add our element of our personality. So during bad times, we add tamas to everything we see. Great ones always add sattvic, always add the mango sweetness. So even if the food is bitter, that means even if the event is bitter, even if our people are bitter, they keep on adding the sweetness. They only know to add sweetness. Wherever they go, whatever event happens, whoever people they meet, you can also do that, I can also do that. This requires practice. If we say we are not going to practice and only the event should change and people should change, well, good luck to you. You've got to come back here for billions of years. Even if it takes 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, or even a lifetime, there's no issue, because this is all you got to know. That's all you got to form the goal image. You got to taste the sweetness yourself and then add it every time to every person, every event. That's what great ones do. So I'm going to give you a very quick exercise. And this exercise is, I want you to take a notepad and divide the page into two. And on the right hand side, on the top right, why am I getting angry on the first day? Okay, very important exercise. On the second day, you can write why am I feeling dejected. Third day, you can write why am I angry. So whatever feeling of lowness is there, you just write it on the top. So first day could be why am I angry. Second day, why am I dejected. Third day, why am I feeling low. And then on the right hand side, you write about everything about why you're feeling low. For example, I'm feeling low because this person said this thing to me. I'm feeling low because nothing is happening in my personal life. I'm feeling low because, you get the point, right? External event. So talk about the events which made you feel sad or low or whatever it is. So the right hand side, you write about external events. Then on the left hand side, you say, you look about this anger, feeling, frustration, all this thing as a negative force and say, I want to flush out this thing from me. You see, it is a negative force. I can see it coming. So on the left hand side, look upon that same thing as coming from inside of you. And on the right hand side, it's like external event. See, very, very powerful exercise. It can just, if you do it for 30 days, 7 days, you do it for 7 days, you can see the difference. You do it for 30 days, you just get it. If you do it for a year, you will master this yoga of Krishna. Because the right hand side, you write about the external, I'm feeling low because this happened, I'm feeling low because he said something, I'm feeling low because nothing is happening in my personal life. And on the left hand side, you write that, look upon it as a negative force, say, I want to flush out this negative force. Why is this force coming? From where is this coming? I can see it coming. You see, so you look upon it as coming from inside of you on the left hand side. And the right hand side, you look upon it as an external event. You see? On the right hand side, you look upon it as an external event. On the left hand side, you look upon it as it's coming inside of you. And so first day you write why I'm feeling low, second day why I'm feeling angry. Whatever low emotion you're going through. And when you do that, wonderful things will happen. Because very soon you will know that there are two things happening here. One is, I'm writing things, both represent you based on external events happening. And the other is, you catch the culprit where it's coming from inside of you. You see, it's coming inside of you. And then I want to just flush it out. Just like, when you want to pass urine or when you want to go motion, they are horrible things, right? They smell horrible. What do? You just flush it out from your system, right? Because if you don't flush, you will be dead. So when you flush it out, do you feel bad? So we all have that waste in our body, and then we have outlets to get it out, right? So you got to know this anger, lowness, frustration, sadness, they are lust, they are just those things which we have to flush it out from our system. And the moment we become aware that we got to flush it out, it just goes away, because that we don't even have to do anything, because the moment we get aware, that thing which becomes aware is a consciousness that, oh, I got to flush it out. You see, that can only come when your higher consciousness is evolved. Otherwise, you will never even get that awareness. The one watching it, that I want to flush these toxins out from the system. So you look upon it as something coming inside of you, not as something happening outside. I'm feeling low because this one said that, I'm feeling low because this person did this to me. So you're always becoming aware of what's happening, brewing inside of you. See, you have a very good handle of what's inside of you. So you can feel the anger coming. You can feel, when you feel the anger coming, you just lower the flame. You feel the sadness coming, just lower the flame. How? You just by becoming aware, because something is watching. The consciousness is awakened. You don't even have to do anything, because that is what it is. You can feel everything happening. You can easily lower it, and you can do what you're good at, because that's what is getting you there. Do this exercise for 7 days. Do it for 14 days. Do it for 30 days. And if you don't do it, all these things would be a waste. It would be a loss, because God has given us this beautiful sweetness of mango. And all you got to do is spend just 15 minutes. You know, people spend 8 hours, 10 hours in their business, 15 hours, studying for exams, and they clear the exams. This is the greatest exam of our life. And we are not even ready to spend 15, 30 minutes of our day. What's wrong if you do it for 1 week, 1 month, 1 year? This is the whole deal. This is what Christ mastered. This is what Buddha mastered. This is what Krishna mastered. They just had complete mastery. We are learning. And when we learn it well, we would have mastered it. So I want you to master it. I want you to write back to me. I hope I answered your question. You keep asking questions and I keep answering.